Hello everyone! Welcome back to this game! When we last left off, we were making some good progress into my Adine run, and then partway into this most recent date, I realized that I forgot to do something, and so I had to go back a bit to do that something, and that was the end of making progress. So let's try this date thing again. We've already seen part of this date, but I'm going to try to quickly go over it. But I'm not going to be doing any skipping yet, just in case anybody is showing up that has not seen the beginning of this date yet. Anyway, hello Erika, hey Dean. Alright, this has the awesome song. I forgot about that. Anyway, Adine's going to be spending some time at the competition grounds. Warm up, and then comes the competition itself. And I want to make sure that she don't get hurt. So we're not actually going to be hanging out to the festival proper, just hanging out at the competition grounds. And of course, there's the talk about the big fireworks show that's going to be coming up. There's a booth set up, dragons of all shapes and sizes pouring in, but we're not going to check them out. As niche as they would be, we need to get to the festival grounds, or rather the competition grounds. Maybe you should wait here while I get my number. People might get the wrong idea if you show up in the registration line. They certainly stare and start asking all kinds of questions. Alright, I'll just stay here then. I'll be right back. After Adine had waddled off to the other flyers, I surveyed my surroundings idly. Beyond the big open-air area, seating had been provided, and I could already see a few people waiting for the competition to start. A few had even gathered on the roof of the building to watch from there. I'm back! Is that your number? She held up a piece of cloth with a large number printed on it. A few strips were hanging from it. What, this? No, of course not. This is a Sundancer's number. There we go, properly got her competition name back. Of course. Sorry for the mistake. Like, seriously. I'm one of the last to start, actually. Are we late? No, I guess the others just arrived earlier to have more time to get ready. What do you think about the other competitors? I've seen most of them fly before. Some are really, really good. It doesn't seem like there are many newcomers here, so right now, I'm the odd one out. Maybe you could use that to your advantage. How so? Well, you know more about them than they do about you. Having a promising newcomer there might throw them off their game. I'm not so sure about that. After all, it's not as if any of our already choreographed performances would change based on what others do now. Each of us just tries to do their best. Most of them are seasoned flyers, so they already know how to deal with that kind of pressure. If anything, I'm the one who might get nervous and mess up. Let's try to make sure that don't happen. I do have one advantage though. I'm still pretty young, and this is a sport with a great amount of wear and tear. There comes a certain point in time when you just can't perform as well anymore as you used to. Many complicated maneuvers can only be performed by younger athletes. The older ones can make up for it using their experience, and with better execution of easier moves. In the end, a daring newcomer like me could surprise the audience and the judges with something new and unexpected, which is exactly what I plan to do. How good do you think your chances are? With a bit of luck, I might even be able to win. This is just a local competition, after all. But you know what? Just being here right now and performing in front of so many people is a win for me. People will know me, and I'll probably get a mention somewhere in a local paper. I've trained for years, and my application to compete finally got accepted. Now I just have to make the most of it, and I'll be happy. I still can hardly believe that I'm here. This is the moment I've worked so hard for. And I'll be watching you. Oh, stop it. You're making me nervous. Okay, I'll stop. Sorry. Can you help me with this? She spread out her wing, and only then did I notice that her shoulder joint was tightly bandaged. What's that for? It's just a training bandage to stabilize my shoulder after that little blunder you witnessed last time. We can't fly with these in the competition, though, so I'll have to take it off. Okay. I opened the bandage, carefully unwrapping her wing. There you go. Thanks. She spread both of her wings, beating them a few times. I couldn't help noticing that the previously bandaged wing was sagging noticeably compared to his counterpart, as if it were misaligned. I hope that bandage you were wearing did not screw something up. She seemed to be examining her shoulder, somewhat lost in thought when I spoke up. Are you sure you want to do this? Yes, of course. Why wouldn't I? I can see you're straining without the bandage. I'm fine, really. Don't worry about it. I can't help but worry. You died on several runs. If you're fine without the bandage, how come you were wearing it up to just now? Did you need it for practice too? If you couldn't practice without it, maybe you aren't ready to compete without it yet. Since when are you suddenly an expert on flying? I'm the one who has been doing this for years, not you. This is my dream we're talking about. Do you want them to see you in this condition and judge you based on that rather than when you're at your best? I just have to try, you know? What if something goes wrong, though? You don't want to be in that position. If I start making excuses now, maybe I'll never stop. I'll always be too nervous, or too injured, or didn't eat right the day before. I feel bad enough as it is. Right now, I have the chance to do this, and if I don't take it, maybe I never will. I'll always just be a server and delivery girl making minimum wage. Suddenly wondering what minimum wage is 65 million years ago. Is this one chance really too much to ask for? No, but it doesn't have to be right now. There will always be another year. They've never seen you compete before. If you fly now, they'll judge you based on this performance. You only have one chance at making a first impression, and you know it won't be your best if you fly right now. If it's not good enough, maybe they won't invite you again next year. If you fly now, they won't accept any excuses. If you tell them you're injured, they might let you fly another time. But I don't want to wait another year. I want to do it now. I've trained so much, even with this injury, and you tell me I should just let it go? Yeah, surprisingly, I have not had an option to take part in this conversation myself. No branching path or anything where I could screw up trying to convince her not to do this. I'm just going to hope that I am a better speaker than me. I just can't help thinking about last time. If you crash like that again, there's no sand here to cushion your fall. It would be much worse. You think I don't know that? That I'm not already worrying about this more than I ever have for anything else? I just don't want to make excuses anymore. I don't want to wonder if I'll ever amount to anything more than a waitress. I want to be able to follow my dream, and I don't want to wait another year to find out. You know, that just makes me think even more that this dragon world is such an interesting one, where a waitress could aspire to be a stunt flyer. What about Emily? If something happened to you, how do you think they would explain to her that you just suddenly stopped showing up, huh? Don't you dare bring her into this! She has nothing to do with it. Like it or not, what you are doing could have consequences, and there are others besides you who will be affected if something goes wrong. You know what? I will fly and do the best dang job I've ever done, and there's nothing you can do to stop me. Before I could reply, she angrily stomped off towards the building, where by now a number of contestants had arrived. Okay, but if she gets hurt, it's not my fault. While I had failed to convince her, I could at least say that I had tried my hardest to stop her. I asked myself whether I even wanted to watch the competition at that point. It was possible that she'd do even better than expected, but if my experience was any indication, her performance would not turn out well. I half expected to be given the option of whether to stay or leave. Of course, I would stay. In the end, I decided to stay and watch from the sidelines. I didn't want to join the rest of the audience, as I was sure it would get me unwanted attention. After the competition started, I lost myself in thought, thinking over the conversation I had with Adine while watching the other contestants half-heartedly. Adine had been right. Some of them were very good, but based on what I had seen at her practice session, she did have a shot at winning if everything went well for her. Even though my rational mind doubted that would happen, for her own sake, I hoped it would. One by one, the contestants showed off their skills in a variety of moves, usually followed by the applause of the audience. Eventually, it was time for Adine's turn. Next on the stage is number 11. Okay, well, that's promising. 11 is one of my favorite numbers. A promising newcomer who will show her skills. Okay, I can't just say that without explaining why 11 is one of my favorite numbers. Basically, some good stuff happened when I was 11 years old. A variety of good things to make things interesting. But I won't go into any detail further than that because, well, that would clue you into my actual age. And my age is a closely guarded secret, protected by a sect of closely guarded monks atop the Coaches Mountains. Anyway, a promising newcomer who will show her skills to the public here for the very first time in her debut performance. Please welcome Sundancer! There was an excited bout of clapping. The audience was always curious to see a newcomer on the stage. However, after a few seconds passed, Adine still hadn't emerged. An awkward silence set in as the audience's applause stopped and everyone sat anxiously, waiting for her to show up. She never did. After half a minute or so had passed, the announcer's voice once more echoed across the area. My apologies. It looks like number 11 will not be flying today. Next up is number 12, a certain veteran you may know for his somewhat unusual technique. Nobody I know. Before I could even ask myself what had happened, I saw Adine walking out of the building and coming towards me. Yeah, she definitely died from an accident while flying during those other runs. In this run, my words convinced her not to get herself killed. Adine, what did you do? Let's just go somewhere else. Okay. You know, it feels really weird to have my mouse cursor on screen at all times. But if I click off screen, then I won't be able to really do anything. But it feels weird because normally it is bad to have your mouse cursor on screen during a stream or a let's play. And now that I pointed it out, it's going to be distracting you the rest of the stream. You're welcome. Anyway, we walked away from the festival and sat down under a tree in the outskirts of town. As the competition was already nearly over, the darkness had already set in. Here should be good. So, what made you reconsider? You were right with everything you said. When I was inside and had a bit of time to cool off, I realized I didn't want to do it like this, even if I'd have to wait another year. How do you feel now? I know it was the right thing to do, but I can't help thinking that I just came so close, that I could have done it if it hadn't been for that stupid accident. You'll have another chance, I promise. Well, it's a good thing that we've successfully saved the world on recent runs, or else I don't know whether I'd be able to keep that promise. Don't make promises you can't keep. No, I'm pretty sure the world is not going to end on this run. Hey, Erika, look at the sky. Can you see that light? The one that looks a bit brighter than all the others? You know, I had been thinking that it was kind of interesting that this game has been referring to it as a comet, when I'm so used to thinking of it as an asteroid. Now that I think about it, it makes sense that it would have to be a comet. That would make it a lot easier to notice, and therefore allow us to know to stop it. I looked up and saw many celestial bodies lighting up the sky. One of them was noticeably brighter than all the other stars. Yeah, speaking of saving the world... Yeah. I usually practice in the evening and stay until it's dark, so I see the stars pretty often. I noticed something about that one. It moves. How does it move? It looks pretty stationary to me. You won't notice it just by looking at it, but over the last couple of weeks I have noticed that it has changed positions when comparing it to other stars. It can't be a star then. Stars don't move. They have an office in one of the cities that watches these kind of things. I called them about it a while ago. What did they say? It's just an asteroid passing by. It's even been on the news a few times. So they know about it then. And they have known about it. I'm going to assume that they don't necessarily have the technology or the know-how to figure out its trajectory. That makes it sound pretty important. Yeah, it's a big one apparently. Otherwise we wouldn't even be able to see it without a telescope. Do they think it's dangerous? Why would it be? I don't know. It could hit the moon or something like that. They assured me that it's not going to happen. They say calculating the paths of celestial bodies is a very complicated science, and not really an exact one. They know it's not going to hit the moon, but they're watching it to make sure it passes safely. Not that just watching it would make a difference. They don't really know anything more. Apparently, they're also really underfunded. The council doesn't see the need to waste people's time and money to look into the sky all day. Well, that answers why they're not doing anything about it. That's strange, don't you think? It used to be a pretty important job, but over time, the funding got less and less until only this token office in our biggest city was left. I see. It's such a shame, since the whole institution was based on our creation story. In what way? In one of the stories, our creator told us to watch the skies. I was just wondering if the administrator ever brought that up to the dragons she created. I wonder how specific she was. Though who knows, after 1,422 or so years, the story could get muddled a bit. How religious are you, really? What exactly do you mean? Well, dragons have these myths about humans. How many of them do you actually believe are true? Oh, I believe all of it. I just love reading all the stories, theories, and all that. Why is that? Well, I think there's a lot we can learn from it. Much of our society is based on it, including our laws and traditions. I see. Can I ask you a question? Sure, go ahead. What would you think if I told you that I am a time traveler from the future? Hey, don't joke about something like that. Oh, I had this conversation with somebody else. Who was it that I had this conversation with? Was it Bryce? It might have been Bryce. Not that it actually went anywhere. Why not? Because I'd believe you. Oh, good. Then do I have a story to tell you? At least I hope I tell it. It's kind of important. Besides, if you were really a time traveler, I'd think you'd come from the past, like the time when we were created. Really? Why is that? Because that's the only time in our history where we know of humans ever being here. If you came from the future, that would mean humans were to show up at some point in our future history, and I'm not sure how or why that would happen. Wouldn't that mean that I was your creator? Well, not necessarily. There could have been other humans around, right? Your myths only mention one, though. Yeah, but people speculate, trying to find explanations for those old myths. Maybe there were more humans around and they just died, or the creation rebelled and killed them. Others say they fled across the ocean. We just don't know. What do you think? I don't know. I like reading about all the theories and trying to piece the puzzle together myself. That's why I want to visit the underground building we found. Some of the theories are quite out there. Like what? For example, one says that humans are really aliens who came from a different planet. They created us for some reason and then just vanished again. You know, funnily enough, humanity has a similar theory. What would they do that for? Maybe it's an experiment and they're testing us. Some say they're always watching us from up there somewhere with a giant mothership, and that maybe one day they'll return when we're ready to join them. That is pretty out there, I'd say. Told you so. What about the humanity you come from, though? Why don't you tell me more about your world? I don't like talking about that. It's much prettier here. I don't believe you. It's the truth. I'll believe it when I see it with my own eyes. I'd love to visit your world. I don't think it would be a good idea to visit us right now. Why not? Do you know what our world is like? Are there any rumors about that? Not really. There hasn't been much speculation about that yet. Of course we're curious, though. Next time, we want to send one of our ambassadors into your world to make it even and all that. I'm not sure if that's a good idea. Don't be so negative. I'm sorry. It's not up to me to determine the best course of action. I'm just a lowly ambassador, after all. Not quite as lowly as a waitress with nothing more than high aspirations. Maybe it's time for me to go home. I would walk you, but I guess you'd be faster if you flew. Nah, I'd rather not without the bandage. Are you serious? And you were going to do your performance like that? I know, I shouldn't have tried. You don't have to bring that up again. I'm sorry. For what it's worth, I think you made the right decision in the end. Thank you. Shall we go then? Sure. At some point, the game is going to give me a decision branch during this. We're not going to have an entire date without one. There we are. Do you want to come in for a bit? It would be a shame for you to have come all this way for nothing. Sure. There's another point I was expecting a decision branch. She opened the door, wiping her feet on the doormat before she went inside. I wonder how easy it is to tear up a doormat like that when you have sharp claws on your feet. Can I offer you something to drink, maybe? No thanks, I'm good. How about some TV? I mean, me personally, I'd love to see what you all have on your TV. That could be interesting. I haven't watched TV in ages, and I don't have one in the apartment. How do I not have a TV in my apartment? Are they just too expensive that they couldn't afford to just give one away like that? You're right. You got a pretty decent apartment, but they didn't provide a TV. I wonder why. Maybe they wanted to avoid culture shock or something like that. You got a shelf full of books, though. Why would books be fine, but not a TV? I suppose when they give me books, they know what I'm going to read. But on TV, they can't really regulate the content I'm going to see. At least if TV works the same way as ours used to. Oh boy, I could just imagine me on my first day here turning on the TV and accidentally wind up on the Dragon Pornography channel. That's true. Maybe they just thought your time would be better spent elsewhere. I guess. If they didn't want me to watch TV, they certainly never told me. Actually, there's a series on right now that could be pretty interesting to you. What is it? Well, I'm not going to tell you. Do you want me to put it on or not? Sure, let's do it. Adine turned on the TV, and a brief flicker appeared on the screen before it was filled with the image of a house from the outside. For what it's worth, even though I haven't been given the option to decline any of these things, I would have agreed regardless. Well, that doesn't look unusual. Just wait a bit. The camera cut to the inside of the home while the chattering of small talk could be heard. Then some figures entered the living room on the screen. They were grotesque, malformed creatures with rather cartoony proportions, covered in odd lumps all over their body. They all shared the same odd skin tone. Okay, having seen these sketches that Lorem showed me of human concepts, I'm betting that's what these are supposed to be. It was clear to me that these figures were played by actors in obviously fake, bulky costumes that reminded me of mascots. What are those? Humans? Humans? That's the name of the series. It's a typical sitcom about a contemporary family as we would expect it, but the twist is that everyone is human. Okay, gosh dang it. Of course they would throw in a dinosaurs reference. I swear, if there is a cling of a frying pan and the sound of a baby saying "not the mama," I am going to lose it. And then I realized why I hadn't been able to identify the creatures on the screen as humans. They were all naked. Since the dragon's concept of clothing was different, they had applied their own principles when creating the series. It was quite bizarre to see a typical family sitcom where all the characters were in obviously fake costumes and also happened to be naked. Well, on the bright side, they wouldn't necessarily understand the concept of human genitalia. Do you like it? It's one of my favorites. While it is a sitcom, it manages to address serious and deep issues fairly often, which I don't think would be as effective if we weren't watching them through the lens of this alternate reality. You know, I'm suddenly wondering if there's been other references in this game that I wound up missing. I've definitely caught a few. The This one isn't a bad episode, but it's already nearly over. I guess there's no point in just watching the ending. Well, I mean, you might as well. Wait for what is going to come on next. No reason to channel surf, because other shows are also going to be ending. True. By this point, the credits were already rolling, and Adine turned off the TV again. I was hoping we'd be able to see more. What do you think? Let's just say that if a human looking like that suddenly showed up in our world, people would probably run away screaming. They don't look that bad. Sure, it's impressive if we consider what they had to work with, but there's a few things they got wrong. Like what? For one, humans mostly wear clothing, and secondly, we don't have tails. Oh, they had tails? And those are just small details. The series is still good, though. You know, that does remind me of an image I saw one time, showing the skull of a hippo, and it looks all monstrous and stuff, and the concept was bringing this monstrous-looking skull to life, as we do with dinosaur skulls. And then, of course, you had the comparison with the actual animal, and it looked, well, like a hippo head. Really gotta wonder if our concept of what dinosaurs look like is actually accurate or not. Accurate or not. Is it popular? For sure. Many people love it. I see. I hope they aren't too scared of me when they see how different I am, though. I didn't run away screaming when I first met you, did I? True. Given how big a lot of these dragons are, I don't necessarily know that they would be afraid of someone as small as myself. Now that you're already here, there's something you could help me with. What is it? Well, it'd be a huge favor to ask, and it's kinda embarrassing. Just say it. The worst I can do is say no. Well, that's if the game gives me the option. How should I say this? It's about my shower. I get pretty dirty from practice sometimes, especially from the bad landings, and recently the detachable shower head broke. Okay, this run already included me giving a dragon a massage. Am I going to be bathing another dragon? I mean, I will. I mean, I'm not really the sort of person who would normally just so willingly massage and bathe other people. But these are dragons. They're really fascinating. It gives me a chance to get up close and personal with them without it becoming awkward. I mean, I got to massage Emra where her hips met her tail. I don't think I would have ever gotten that opportunity otherwise. Anyway, what were we talking about? The detachable shower head broke. Right. That usually wouldn't be much of a problem, but with this injury, I can't quite reach a few places on my own. It's already not ideal having to manage everything with my wings, but now it's even harder. You want me to scrub your back? I guess you could put it that way. I told you it was embarrassing. I had a feeling that in this situation, I would be given the option. But then again, I had that feeling at a few other places, so I had to be right eventually. So of course I'll do it. Maddie says I would probably also, but I'd be going beet red while doing so. That's true. I probably would as well. It'll be funny if that gets brought up. If I wind up blushing during this. Don't worry about it. I'm glad to help. Thanks. This way. I followed her, entering the rather large bathroom. I was kind of hoping we'd get to see it. I'm thinking about the bathroom in my apartment that I am residing in currently. I'm pretty sure the toilet was inside the shower stall. I have no interest in seeing firsthand how exactly that works. I assume that I won't have to. The shower is huge. I wouldn't mind having one of these. This isn't just your regular dragon-sized shower. It's made specifically for a flyer like me. We need enough room to stretch our wings. Just think of the possibilities. She took off her goggles and stepped into the roomy walk-in shower. After pressing a button on the wall, water started flowing from the shower head mounted on the wall. She moved around a bit, stretching this and that way in order to cover her whole body in the water. Soon afterwards, she pressed the button on the wall again, and the water flow stopped. She turned to show me her back, wings splayed. Oh my goodness, she is so embarrassed about this. So, am I in here with my clothes still on? The soap and sponge should be right there. I took a sponge that wasn't unlike the ones I knew from back home and added some soap from a rather big bowl. It seemed to me that each species had their own challenges that needed to be overcome when it came to daily tasks like this one, emphasized by all the different design choices when it came to everyday items. You know, it's a shame that images like this aren't also unlocked for the gallery. I would not mind being able to look at these again, especially the images that are bigger than the screen. You can start with the wings and work your way down from there. Sure thing. Also, how did we end up here? Here I thought this entire date would be about the flying competition, but no, this has definitely been a day. Also, it just occurred to me this is our first time getting to see Adine without her goggles on. I couldn't help making a joke to ease the tension a bit when I put the sponge on her muzzle. Hey, it looks like you got something here. Oh wait, that's just your stripes. Hey, stop that! Sorry, I couldn't resist. Good job. Now I've got soap in my nose. Well, at least this joke didn't go disastrously like the none of your business joke. I started scrubbing her wings. Now that I could see them up close and fully extended, I found them to be quite impressive. Yes, let's go ahead and take away my misses so we can admire the size of this wing. And I get to rub it. You know, I actually tried to do that before. What do you mean? Washing off those stripes? Why? Well, I was just a child back then. You know how kids are. They make fun of everything. Though, I don't know if human children are the same way. Yeah... They are, trust me. And you know what the worst part is? 9 times out of 10, I never told anybody that I was being bullied. I don't know why, but there's this stigma about not telling the teacher that you're being bullied. In fact, I was just thinking about this the other day. In the 1st grade, one of my teachers had this donkey tail on the wall, like the sort that you would use in pin the tail on the donkey, and she threatened to pin that on anybody who was a tattletale. The fact that a teacher, of all people, was telling us never to tell anybody if somebody was doing something wrong, that's just not right. Also, being furry now, I would totally be okay with having that tail pinned on, as long as it was not actually really sharp. But seriously, there was this one kid, some point in middle school, who really was on me all the time. Like one time, he walked up to me and gave me a purple nurple, I think it's called. You know, where they twist your nipples. And I reacted, of course, it's like, ow, and he's just laughing along with his buddy. The teacher was not in the room at the time. I really wish that I had told the teacher about that. Instead, the kid just got away with it, because I was just too afraid to do anything. I feel like it's that way with a lot of kids being bullied. They're just too afraid of any sort of repercussions. Anyway, back to the game, and on a lighter note, I do think it's a nice touch that we can see Adine's reflection in the glass. I'm trying to work out the reflection. That looks like it's Adine's tail right there, but no, that's not the way her tail is sitting right now. Does she have like an elbow thumb or something? I don't know. Not going to be getting another angle on that, so not going to dwell on it. Don't press too hard there. That's the injured shoulder. I'll be careful. kind of think of it, we did hear about how Adine was bullied when she was younger. I don't know who it was that told us that, but somebody did. Eventually, I reached her lower back, and while I was watching a particular spot on her left side, I could see her leg twitching slightly. Ah, like a dog. Also, another good look at her lower portion here. Are you ticklish there? I guess you noticed. What happens if I do this? I repeated my ministrations, moving the sponge in circles over that particular spot. Hey, stop that! She started squirming, and suddenly her tail whacked around and hit me in the face, causing me to stumble and fall over backwards. Oops. Are you okay? I guess I deserved that. Well, you tickle the dragon, you get the tail, apparently. The forked tip of her tail was still hovering inches in front of my face. Its peculiar shape reminded me of something, and I couldn't help but grab it and hold it like a telephone. Hello? Hello? What are you doing? I think your phone isn't working. Stop being silly. Okay, I am so glad that I had the courage to do that, because I would totally not have the courage to do that. Alright. I'm nearly done anyway. I resumed my scrubbing. By now, only her tail was left. Not being entirely sure about my technique, I moved the sponge over the tail's whole length in small circles. When I was nearly done, I noticed a low rumble emanating from her, reminding me of what an oversized cat's purr might sound like. Ah. You can actually hear it. Is that... Are you purring? Suddenly, her expression changed as she looked over her shoulder. Oh, are you done? You should take a step back if you don't want to get hit by the water. After I left the shower again, she pressed a button on the wall and the water resumed once more. She only stood under it briefly and moved around a bit until the water had completely washed off the suds. I mean, I would not have minded getting wet myself if I wasn't still in my clothes. When she turned off the water again, I realized that it didn't cling to her much at all. After she shook herself for a bit, she stepped out again, nearly dry. Thanks. I really needed that. You're welcome. It's probably getting late for you, and I already held you up this long. I know, right? I didn't expect to still be here an hour into the stream. After we had left the competition grounds, I thought, well, this is going to be a short date. Been fun, though. Don't worry about it. Oh, it's already dark outside. I guess that took longer than I thought. I'm not supposed to go outside this late. It hasn't stopped me before. However, if I am making an excuse to spend the night here, I am not going to stop myself. You're right. We were advised by the police to stay inside after nightfall because of everything that's going on. Oh, also that. For me, this is even more important. We don't know if there's anyone out there who might want to target me. I suppose you'll just have to spend the night then. Ooh, do I get to cuddle with you? I guess so. No, we did not get a cuddle scene. Oh well, at least I got to wash her. Okay, I should go for a break, but I think next is the fireworks scene, and I know, well, not necessarily know, but I am 99% certain that I'll be able to finish this run and have time left over to begin my Anna run. And I'd like to have my episode break between the end of this run and the start of the Anna run, so let's get some well-deserved rest. And we'll go ahead and finish this run. In the end, I decided to spend the day relaxing in my apartment. Didn't know when things would start to pick up again, so I figured it would be better to get some rest as long as I still could. Achievement unlocked, Lazy. You decided to not meet anyone or investigate for the 10th time. Being exceptionally good at doing nothing apparently is a skill too. Would be nice if I were... if it actually felt like an accomplishment. Hope and superstition. Perhaps now we get to find out about that superstition. Also, you just know that blueprint is going to come into play when I bring Adine to that building that she has the blueprint for. Night of Turbulent Dreams, consciousness returned. Day of the big fireworks, who shall I bring? This time I only have one option. I noticed that last time I had more than one option, though I forget who the other option was. I guess she's here. Are you ready? Ready for what? The fireworks, silly. Oh, of course. Let's go. After a few minutes of walking, we arrived at a rather empty-looking area near the edge of town. Boy, this looks familiar. Here we are. If this is everyone, I'm disappointed. I thought it would be crowded here. This is actually one of my training spots, and it turns out you can see the fireworks pretty well from here, too. I would ask why we never saw you here before, but thinking on it, you have been pretty much dead at this point on every run. Makes me wonder if you would have been around here if I had finished your good run sooner, 'cause now that we're getting your good run done, that means you won't be dead anymore. Then again, even if you were alive at this point, that doesn't necessarily mean that you would actually be here at this point. So this is your secret spot, then? I guess you could say so. Well, now that I know of it, I suppose it's not so secret anymore. Not if you keep it to yourself. We could make it our secret. If you say so. Hey, looks like it's starting. Now, take a good look. We waited quietly as the stillness of the night enveloped us. Soon, I heard the sound of the first rocket making its way into the night sky, after which it exploded in a pattern of colors. More rockets followed, the thunderous noise echoing throughout the land. I would imagine that most dragons are smart enough not to fly into a fireworks show. Anyway, terrible realization, public event, it's noisy. Ray's probably gonna make his move under the cover of noise. Adine, I think we need to go. Now. Stop joking around, Erika. You still haven't seen the best part. I know where Reza is. We need to stop him. Are you serious? Yes, I am. What should we do then? Maybe you could fly and get us some help. I'll try to buy us some time by confronting him. Alright, where should I meet you? Somewhere near the portal. He'll be there. Let's go. So I wonder if I'm going to remember the conversation this time. Alright, the portal is just a few minutes later. Still turned off. Ray's still here. Saw something over there. Suitcase. Surprised to find a few eggs. I'm not surprised. That prick. Given that he hadn't left yet, still had unfinished business. Underground building. Ray's going to be stealing from the place. I decided best to meet him underground. Long hallway. Suddenly, a door opened. Out came Reza, carrying a large cardboard box. Set it on the ground. Erika, you here? Don't know how glad I am to see you. Yeah, sure. I mean, you probably are, but, Anyway, help me with this? Nope. What are you talking about? You gotta answer questions. We got a few hours. When did you realize we were in the past? For a while. I just found out. It's kind of obvious. I mean, here's the reasons. Including the sky. Point your PDA up to it. And it would tell you what year it was. Are you done being condescending? Yep. You killed those dragons. No bleep, Sherlock. Why? Really need me to spell it out? I hope not. Did it 'cause time is of the essence. Want to get those generators back to Earth, present, before the world ends. Now I'm sealing this really important one. How could you do this? How could I do this? We're having the entire conversation at this point. So, let me keep on going. Because we don't necessarily need to hear this whole conversation again. We just had it a stream and a half ago, I want to say. If there was a different way, wouldn't I spent the last few weeks doing what you didn't? What, murdering people? You're just wanting to help him because you're used to the comforts of this world. No, I genuinely care. These are people, after all. It doesn't matter what race they are. You think they're just going to let us go after what I've done? Fat chance. Well, they kind of let me hang around and do what I want. I'm not joining you. And I'm gonna stop you from stealing this all-important generator. We kinda need it to save the world, you know? And you don't think we can do it, but I do. Maniacal laughter. Or not maniacal, more like crazy. It's like, he can't believe that I would be willing to help dragons. Oh gosh, there's that sight again. Never gonna get comfortable. Why can't we just talk about this? We just did. No, what about... Wait, you're just trying to distract me, aren't you? No, I'm just... Shut up! They're probably already on their way. Wait, what? Suddenly, Reza shot me in the leg, causing me to fall over and squirm in pain. Well, at least he aimed for the leg. Regardless, ow! I saw Reza running to the box containing the generator. He lifted it up using both of his hands before making his way towards the exit as fast as he could. When Reza got close to the entrance, I saw a flurry of Maverick zipping past me with a thunderous gallop. I looked towards Reza, who turned around, dropped the box, and grabbed his pistol. It was Maverick, who pounced immediately. Reza fell to the ground, and before he could so much as react, Maverick buried his teeth in Reza's neck and bit down. It's basically a 50-50 chance whether one of these runs will end with Reza living. Reza slumped instantly and didn't move again. This time Maverick survived. Then Adine appeared and called out to Maverick. Why did you have to kill him? Because he's a Maverick. Because I'm not taking chances anymore. What took you so long? Like, seriously. Normally, he does not get a shot at me before people show up. Erika, are you alright? He got me in the leg. Maybe there's a first aid kit in one of these rooms. I hope a 1400-year first kit is still good. Adine went into one of the adjoining rooms, only to reappear with a first aid kit shortly afterwards. Can I do anything else? I'm not sure if I can apply the bandage. Oh, come to think of it, normally the administrator shows up at this point. I wonder where she is. You could tell me what took you so long. Well, at first, Maverick wanted to storm the place head-on, but then I remembered the map you gave me and the other entrance. I heard you two talking and figured we could surprise him if we went in the other way. Ah, okay, that's where the blueprint came in. I guess I shouldn't be complaining then, because this could have turned out so much worse. Don't I know it? Well done, Adine. I probably should be getting you some real help. She turned to Maverick. Come on, what are you waiting for? Maybe he thinks I'm going to take the generator while you're gone. Guess you really wanted to stop Reza. My apologies. He turned and they both left. More than anything, I'm glad that Maverick gets to live on this run. Shortly thereafter, the administrator appeared and came towards me. Izumi, you're kinda late this time too. How ironic that you would remember her name now, her? Besides, it didn't seem like you really needed me. Good job. Her name? What are you talking about? Are we finally about to see some results to this time travel shenanigans? I'm not Izumi. The person I thought was the administrator took off the mask, only to reveal a strangely familiar face underneath. The person before me had a face that looked exactly like mine, down to the tiniest detail. It was like looking into a mirror or at a twin. It was me. Alright, me. Where have I been all this time? I've had that costume for a few runs now. You understand why I'm wearing the mask now? How is this possible? It's complicated. By now, I guess you know that this always ends with you traveling back in time when something goes wrong. When I was in your position, Izumi died during our confrontation with Reza, and as all the experience from all the different attempts vanished with her, I decided I had to become the person who would oversee the next one. I didn't know just how complicated it would be. Dang it. So this conversation at the administrator's hideout actually was with me this time. I wonder if there would have been any differences in dialogue, or if I wound up memorizing it. Luckily, she left a lot behind to help me, and I executed her plan just as she would. Oh, that also makes me wonder how the first encounter with the administrator on this run would have gone. Would I have noticed something about the voice being recognizable? In fact, the same goes with at the administrator's hideout. Well, at this point, it's really not worth doing this run, again, to see if there's any minute details in dialogue differences. Especially if there's a chance I might not even notice them. So, what do we do now? Well, with the generator still intact, we will have no trouble diverting the comet and saving this world. But I also know that you feel very strongly about executing the mission you were sent here for. Unfortunately, I'm starting to realize now that this won't be possible. You are probably hearing all these text messages going on. And I apologize, but there are things going on in my family right now. My grandpa is unfortunately sick, carrying too much water in his body. And we also have ice. So right now, text messages about watch your step. Anyway, mission, starting to realize now that this won't be possible. What are you talking about? As outlined in Izumi's plan, I deleted the coordinates that would lead back to humanity's portal when I repaired this one, replacing them with coordinates to travel back in time to the day of your arrival in this world. That didn't happen last time, though. Unfortunately, this means that our connection to humanity's portal is lost. Are you saying we could have saved humanity if you just didn't remove those coordinates? I'm afraid so. Then why did you do it? I didn't realize it would come to this. I just executed her plan as she would have. I can understand her reasoning for it, though. It presents an extraordinary risk. Eliminating these coordinates also eliminates the possibility of Reza getting away through the portal and taking the generator we need with him. Why not just tie them to my biometric data like the coordinates we need to travel back in time? That wouldn't be much help, because in scenarios where Reza escapes with the generator, he wouldn't hesitate to kill you to take what he needs to bypass the biometric scan and use the portal anyway. Then the only way to achieve what we want is to not delete those coordinates. Can we really take that risk? You know that if we fail badly enough even once, if the portal gets destroyed, or if both the administrator and you die, there won't be any more chances. If you have seen what goes on from the administrator's side during my stay here, I suppose you should be the one to decide that. That still doesn't address the question of what we should do now, though. If we want to make this happen, one of us will have to go back and do this all over again. And what happens to the other? I'm afraid of what the answer to this question might be. They could stay here and live their life however they wanted. What about Adine? I wish I could stay with her. All she does for the orphans, I wish I could be a part of that. I wish I could be done with this already and settle down, but someone has to go back and ensure we can reach the outcome both of us want. No matter if it's you or me, one of us has to do it. Otherwise, all those we know back home, I don't think I need to tell you. Why are you making me think of those who suffer? You'll never forget them, and if you don't do this, it will haunt you. I know. What do you want me to do? Go back in time and do it all over again? It's what we've been trying to do all this time, you know. No compromise. And of course you want me to do it so you can stay here, huh? I will do it myself if that's what it takes. I just hoped it wouldn't have to be me. Don't we both? If we wanted to settle for an outcome where we just stop the comet and stay here, we could have done so a long time ago. Yeah, that's true. That doesn't mean that we're both not tired of this. Maybe forgetting everything again by stepping through the portal would be a boon then. Not a very fun one. Don't try to make this more palatable for me. How many times have we done this now? I don't know. This is where, yep, credits. Actually, I was expecting an epilogue of some sort on a blank screen. But one way or another, yeah, that's how things are ending. Don't get to say goodbye to Adine. It's also left quite open which of me is going back in time at this point. But yeah, at this point, we're definitely not done yet. I've already made that plenty clear. I am working my way to get the best outcome. So that was the end of the Adine run. You know, it occurs to me I haven't really been giving my opinion on any of the runs so far. Yeah, well, why start now? I mean, I've already kind of given my thoughts on this one. I thought that the restaurant would be more involved. Aww. There's that image. One last time we see that image, I don't think I need to do any more attempts at Adine's run. You know, it's kind of a shame that humans generally don't have markings like those. I mean, I suppose there's freckles. I do have a few freckles on my arms and legs. There's also one on the palm of my hand, and it's like a lonely freckle. Oh, hold on a sec. Oh, that's right. Sometimes there's something that happens after the credits. What will you do now? For the time being, I suppose I'll be stuck in this world. Just losing the connection to humanity's portal. How is that even possible? I don't know. Maybe we'll never be able to reestablish contact. You know, the simple solution would be to carry the coordinates back in time with us, write it down on a piece of paper, hide them somewhere where we can eventually remember to find them. No matter what happens, you'll always be welcome here. You put your life on the line to save us, and it cost your colleague his life. Reza was never my colleague. Then what was he exactly? You know, maybe it's better if humanity never finds out what happened. Oh well. Either way, I'm glad you're here now, and I think Emily will appreciate it too. You think so? I'm sure of it. The people from the orphanage should be here any minute now. I'm a bit nervous, to be honest. Have you ever babysat before? Not a dragon, that's for sure. Don't worry, I'll be here with you the whole time. But you'll have to be very careful, alright? Of course. I guess it's time. Are you ready? I think so. Achievement unlocked. Decisions. You have seen Adine's good ending. Ah, there she is up there. I was wondering when we'd have another flyer up here. So, question is, which me was it during that epilogue? Was it me or the administrator me? The world may never know. Either way, I actually kind of like that ending. It's certainly one of the better of the good endings so far. A bittersweet happily ever after. Anyway, definitely a shame that I'm not a raccoon dragon for real. I've said this on occasion, but part of the appeal of being a raccoon dragon is definitely the mask and the rings on my tail. In addition to actually having a tail. But this face, I love having this face. Anyway, we will be right back, and when we come back, we're going to start the Anna run.